Hey guys, welcome back. All right, today marks my 1 month anniversary of completing my very first 100-mile ultra marathon, the Leona Divide 100-miler. I got my belt buckle, my first 100-mile ultra marathon belt buckle, finally. Um, and the race went amazingly well. I didn't have any issues. I didn't bonk. I didn't get a rash. I didn't get cramps. I didn't have any problems. It was awesome. And I feel like I need to share kind of what kind of training I did for this race. I say training in air quotes because it was questionable. I didn't do as much as I wanted to do, but and I had some setbacks. There were some things that happened that kind of screwed with what I had planned. But I think that those setbacks actually ended up helping me in the long run. So I wanted to talk about kind of like my schedule of things and how I prepared, because I only had 4 months from the time I registered for the race till the race. And I haven't done anything even close to a 100-miler before. My longest race to date was a 50K, which is 50K is 31 miles. I think the day I did, I ended up getting 32. I just went a little over somehow. But that was the longest distance I'd done. So I had a huge gap in what I've done and what I was about to do. And I was just trying to figure out how to prepare for this. And a lot of it was going by feel, just of knowing my body from doing various endurance sports for a long time and figuring I probably need to feel like this. And we'll see. And then also watching a lot of other people's 100-mile training plans, like on YouTube, and seeing what they did for their 100-milers and so forth. And a thing that almost everybody I've watched, and I have a lot of friends that run ultra marathons, they all said, you're going to hit a low spot. And when you hit that low spot, just don't give up. It'll pass and you'll feel great. I never, ever hit that low spot. I felt great the whole race. Now, mind you, I did not go into this race with the intent to win or even place high. I just wanted to finish. There was a 33-hour cutoff in this 100-mile race, 33-hour cutoff. And my goal was to beat that cutoff and get my buckle, which I got. So here it is. So with that in mind, let's get into what the heck I did to train and prepare for this race. I got my registration in December. I think December 10th, give or take 3 days or so. Can't remember the exact date, but it was like early to mid-December. And the race was April 20th. So I had 4 months and a couple days to train up for this thing. I also had 2 marathons in February already booked up. So I knew I was running one in the beginning of February, a trail marathon, and then a road marathon toward the end of February. And I kind of figured I was going to treat those more like a training run for the ultra marathon. I didn't want to go crazy on those races. I was going to try to build up some like mental skills that were going to help me on this 100-miler, because a 100-miler, I knew that I could not go at the same pace I could run a marathon or half marathon. I knew I was going to have to slow down to complete it, just make sure I didn't burn my legs out or anything. So a big chunk of what I was training to do is actually slow myself down, which is very, very difficult for me. I don't think I ever did a training run as slow as I wanted to run the actual race. I don't think I ever did one that slow. I wanted to do for the race 10-minute miles or slower. That was it. Just if I can do that, I'm going to make it to the end in time and I should be okay. But my training runs, very, very difficult for me to do that. Not that I'm super fast, but I'm a couple minutes faster than that, typically on average. So getting myself in that mindset was really hard. Another thing that I wanted to do for the race was walk all the uphills. I wanted to just hike them. Just wanted to hike them. Didn't care if it slowed me down. Wanted to hike. And I'm not talking about like steep inclines. I'm talking every incline. Even if it was just a little bit, I was going to slow down and hike it. Like power hike. I was going to go faster, as fast as I could hiking, but I was not going to run any of them. That was also tricky because there are plenty of hills that I would just typically run. And I had to really, really mentally stop myself a lot over the few months prior. Just don't run this, just walk it. It'll be okay. I have like I don't know if it's an ego thing or what the deal is, but I just want to run. So that was surprisingly tricky for me to do. Another thing is that I don't get thirsty easily, which is not a good thing. I don't feel thirsty. My body needs water just like anybody else, but I don't feel it till it's really late. So I had to force myself to get in the habit of drinking liquids and taking in some carbohydrates, some energy for this race to fuel myself. I made some, like, on top of eating like tons of gels and goos and whatever snacks I could get my hands on, I made um, custom energy drink, which is essentially Gatorade, which has good electrolytes. Keep your electrolytes up. That's important. But it also has a ton of extra carbohydrate put in. Gatorade has a decent amount of sugar in it, which is good to keep going. But I added like a whole scoop of maltodextrin and a scoop of table sugar, which sounds like a crazy unhealthy thing, but it's a lot of energy and it's mixed in with my liquid. So as I'm drinking, I'm also taking in a lot of carbohydrate just to keep moving. And I feel like that was really helpful. But my training plan, let's get back to that because those are kind of my goals. And when I signed up, I had not been running much at the time. I'd run like once or twice a week if I was lucky, but I wasn't in that habit of running. That if you're a runner, you know what I'm talking about, where you feel like you have to run. And when you train all the time, you're running often, you feel like that. If you don't run for a day, you just, oh my God, I got to go for a run. But if you don't run often, you don't feel that. Going on a run is still good, it feels good, but there's not that like need to run. And I was in that state where I just didn't need to. I was like, I'll go run and make myself do it. But I wanted to get back into that state of needing to run. So I spent basically the rest of December and most of January just trying to get more days of running in. They weren't typically very far. It was more 5-ish, maybe 7 miles or so. And trying to get 3 or 4 days a week to kind of get myself back in that state of running. And again, had a marathon at the beginning of February that I was trying to get ready for. Now, I could go with no training and go run a marathon. It would be fast, but I could finish it. And I'm not worried about that. I probably feel bad the next day if I don't train, but I know I could do it. So I'm not stressed about a marathon distance, but I wanted to use a marathon as training. So I was trying to just get prepped so I could feel that out, go out, do my marathon with my gear on, the same stuff that I was going to use in the ultra marathon, and just see how my drink is working, make sure I'm hydrated, not getting cramps and so forth. Because a lot of times when I run a marathon, I'll end up getting some cramps a little bit, and I'll take some salt tabs and they'll pass. But I was going to try to not do that, which both marathons I did in February went really, really great. The fuel levels were good, didn't get any cramps, which meant that what I was doing was working. So short miles, December, January, February, 2 marathons with some running in between the two. And then March was going to be my heavy push to get my legs kind of like bulletproof, where when I say that, it's kind of like when you run enough, you get to a point where you could run 10 or 12 or 13 miles in a day. And the next day, you won't even feel it. You could go do it again. Your legs are just used to it. So it's not a problem. And I wanted to get myself back to that state. And I intended to run 10 miles a day every day in March. That was the goal. And I started out pretty strong. I ended up putting tons of miles in on the treadmill and doing almost perfect for like the first half of March. I missed a couple days due to just work or being busy, but I was really good about that. And my legs were feeling good, feeling strong. I felt like I got them up to that level and it was great. And then the last week of March, I developed plantar fasciitis in my left foot. Not from running, from doing a jump rope. I found a jump rope in a storage bin and I took it out and was giving it a whirl. And I realized that as I was doing it, I could kind of tell that I was favoring my left leg because when I had all these surgeries on my right leg, my leg was weak for a long time. And I developed a bad habit of kind of like using my left leg more to guard my right leg from hurting, which now it's not so bad. I could jump and it's pretty equal. But mentally, like I had to tell myself it's okay to use both legs to do this. And after my foot started hurting, I maybe had 3 runs after that, and my foot hurt really bad after each one. So I was like, well, this isn't good. I have a race coming up in less than a month, and now my foot hurts really bad when I run. It didn't hurt when I run so much as after the run. And I ended up basically backing way off on the running, give myself a break. I feel like, okay, the foot's feeling better. And I'd go run again and it would hurt. So I was like, okay, this isn't good. I got to like really, really give this a rest. So basically for 3 weeks before the race, I didn't run at all. I didn't run from the beginning of April until the race, didn't run at all. I did 2 hikes just uphill just to get some elevation training, didn't run at all. And it was really, really stressing me out. But I think that the amount of rest that I took let my body recover like 100%. So when I did the race, I felt really good. My foot didn't hurt at all during the race, didn't have any heel pains, didn't hurt after the race. After 100 miles running, my heel was totally fine. But that pain stopped me from training so much. And I think that had I not had the foot injury, I probably would have ended up overtraining. And when I watch a lot of these ultramarathoners go see their training plans, all this, they're running so much. And I was going to emulate that. And I think this could be a fluke. Again, my first race. I haven't done another 100, so maybe it was just a lucky thing. But I think that most people that I watch do this are overtraining. I mean, just hands down. I see them training and doing all this crazy stuff, doing these really multiple, very long runs before their race, like within weeks before the race. And then they go do the race and you see them post videos and they're like, oh, I'm so rough right now. I'm really struggling. I'm in my pain cave and all this. I didn't feel any of that. I've never gone this far. Didn't feel any of that. And as a matter of fact, my fastest miles were after mile 75. Like my fast miles were like 80 to 100 were like my fastest miles. Felt great. Felt freaking great. So I feel like backing off the training for a few weeks was super, super helpful. Now, if you've done a bunch of these races and you have tried this before, let me know what you think about that, if that's a thing. And if you've never trained for an ultramarathon, I've never done that distance before. Maybe it's something to consider. Don't kill yourself beforehand. Train enough that you feel good and you feel strong and like you could get out and go run, half marathon. I always felt like I could just go do a marathon distance, no problem. And when I had that mentally in my head that I'm like, I could go run that distance. When I went into the 100 miler and I backed off, I went really easy, went slow, kept it smooth, hydrated, kept all my nutrition up. It went awesome. So I don't know if this will help anybody, but that's what worked for me. Worked really, really well. Again, inadvertently, worked really, really well. So I posted a video with my training gear, which I'll put here, with all my training gear, my race gear, and then a video of my race will be here, and then whatever YouTube says you will be interested in, it'll be here, and then subscribe here if you like. Anyway, hopefully that was informative to any of you that are looking to do a 100-mile ultramarathon for the first time, just like I did. Get a little buckle for yourself. It's pretty fun. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you kids soon.